Live data is an observable data holder class that's also lifecycle aware. Now, we've talked about how live data is observable, we've talked about how it holds data, but we haven't really addressed what lifecycle awareness means. In broad terms, this means that live data knows about the lifecycle state of its UI controller observers. Live data uses this information to interact intelligently with your fragments and activities. Here's what you need to know. Live data will only update UI controllers that are actually on screen. So, if your fragment goes off screen and the value of the live data changes, let's say 4 times, it would not update the off-screen fragment. When a UI controller goes from off-screen back to on-screen, though, live data will always trigger the observer with the most recent data. So in the last example, if the fragment's in the background and the score changes 4 times, the game fragment does not get notified. But as soon as that game fragment comes back on screen, it'll call the observer code with the most recent value. Next, if the live data already exists with some data and a new UI controller starts to observe it, it'll get the current data immediately. And finally, if the UI controller gets destroyed, the live data will actually internally clean up its own connection to the observer. Remember back when you set up the observation connection in onCreate view? Well, you never actually cleaned up that connection in onDestroy view, and you don't need to. That's because live data is lifecycle aware and can therefore do its own cleanup for you. If you watched the previous lesson, this is similar to when we had the timer know when to start and stop itself. What's a little bit confusing about this is that there's one observation relationship here between the UI controller observing when the live data changes. And then there's a second lifecycle observation connection over here where the live data is notified when the UI controller goes on and off screen. You get this second observation behavior for free due to how live data is implemented. All you need to do is pass in the correct UI controller here. So to summarize, live data is lifecycle aware, meaning that it knows about the lifecycle state of its associated UI controllers. This allows live data to only update a UI controller when it's in the foreground, immediately send the most fresh data to a UI controller when it comes back to the foreground, immediately send the most fresh data when a new UI controller observes it, and clean up after itself when it's destroyed.